because this might make your eyes water.
In 1991, the world was rocked by a new and explosive sitcom. Featuring two sexually desirable comedy gods.
Smooth, suave and sophisticated. Then jugs, death by sex. Come and get it.
Who brought an intellectual rigour to British television.
Checkmate.
More than 30 years later, it still packs a punch. A few wallops to the head, and mousetraps to the nadgers. We're diving deep into Bottom, this genre-busting sitcom that ran for 3 series, 5 sellout stage shows, and one hell of a feature film. Aided by famous fans.
The actual physical violence made me howl with laughter.
They're just two mates having a blast doing the best job in the world. It's genuinely a joy to watch.
Guest stars.
Those studio audiences love Rik and Aid.
Sometimes you have to suffer for your art.
Crew.
I'd planned a shot for that and a shot for that, not that.
And Mr. Eddie Hitler himself.
It's something in between art and vulgar. Is it? I don't know.
We'll be getting to the bottom of Bottom.
So let's talk bollocks. That's all we ever do.
Ah. An approximation of the set. Spent a long time on this. I mean, it's wrong, obviously. Should be 2 doors.
Edward Hitler, come down here at once.
Kitchen's in the wrong place, should be there. The organ's gone. Where's my organ? She's very famous, isn't she? But, very tacky.
If only I had a smoking jacket. Hang on. Ta-da!
No, but it's got the same kind of feel. It's a lot cleaner, to be honest.
Not bad, not bad.
Set dressers used to love us. They could put lots of little jokes around the set and have fun with it.
We've got 30p and a second-hand copy of Parade.
Maybe little porn mags here and there.
Doesn't matter how you art it up, Eddie, it's still a jazz mag.
Nice old telly, proper telly. Very nice indeed. It's a long way down.
First board.
Fantastic. Okay.
Do you want me to tell you the birth of it?
Yes, please.
How was Bottom born? Rik and I met in 1975 at university. We're both drama students. We both got degrees. I think if you'd asked either of us what we thought we were doing there and what we were going to be, we'd have both said actor.
I thought I'd go to university to study drama, but then I failed my A-levels. But I got a free place, because everybody made a mess of their A-levels. There's a load of us got in to Manchester University who were kind of sleazy naughty boys. And that's where I met Aid, who's a very sleazy naughty boy.
We bonded over the fact that our mums had sent us with the same CNA dressing gown. We each had a copy of Gorilla by the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, and we both thought that Waiting for Godot was the funniest play ever written.
And I remember they did this sketch where they were both sewed into pink duvets at either side of the stage, and they were just sort of talking to each other. And the tutor said, so, yes, it was very, very funny, but, you know, what were you supposed to be? And Rik said, oh, didn't you get it? We were God's bollocks.
We used to be in a sketch group with some other people, then we became a sketch group with 2 people in it.
What are we on?
We're on after him.
Come back, you twat! You'll give it all away!
You're losing the element of surprise!
And that sketch group, well, a double act, went to the Comedy Store and the Comic Strip Club.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen! We are the Dangerous Brothers! My name is Richard Dangerous, and this is Adrian Dangerous.
I was the original MC at the Comedy Store, and they came on after me, and they just went down a storm. They're just phenomenal, really, and I hated them from the first second. There's this extraordinary energy about them, you know, and kind of focus.
And then we sort of snagged our way by being groovy and young onto the Young Ones and the Comic Strip Presents.
Good morning, sir.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, hello.
Good morning, sir.
They knew each other extremely well. They weren't frightened of anything. They were kind of like puppies or children, you know, they just didn't hold back.
Good morning, sir.
Shut up!
The Young Ones was mostly written by Ben.
Right.
And the Comic Strip, we all wrote our own episodes. And after that, we made the Dangerous Brothers.
Ladies and gentlemen, my impression of Dante's classic film, The Towering Inferno. Music, please!
We made these 7-minute segments of the Dangerous Brothers, and we found it the most painful thing we'd ever done in our lives. Because we didn't know how to write.
You bastard! You promised you wouldn't do that! Thinking you're going to get back to the back of my bloody trousers! Stop!
But to sit down with a blank piece of paper, we used to get the piece of paper and write, right, what's the most exciting thing that can happen?
Bloody hell, wait a minute, I haven't got my pants off yet.
All right, there's an explosion. And we're like, what would happen next? What's better than an explosion? Oh, a bigger explosion. And we're right there. What's after that? Well, an even bigger explosion.
Wow! There he goes, ladies and gentlemen!
And we'd get stuck. We got completely stuck writing these things.
Fantastic evening, thank you, and good night!
Rik went off and did New Statesman, I think. I think in the end he got a bit bored with New Statesman. And the comic strip had sort of reached a kind of, you know, we'd kind of done that. We sort of met up, because we were still, you know, best of friends, and decided we'd get the band back together again, man. And we'd write what turned out to be Bottom. We didn't pitch it to anyone apart from Paul Jackson. Paul Jackson was our ally. As a producer who put the Young Ones together, he put Friday and Saturday Live together, he put Filthy Rich and Cat Flap together. So we naturally just took it to him and he took it to the BBC.
How have you done that? Do you get the drawings or what?
Yeah.
Enough said. Where do you want me?
Bottom exposed, Paul Jackson, take one.
So I went to Alan Yentob and said, Alan, do you want the next Rik and Age show? And of course, what would he say except yes? And I said, great. Do you want to see the script? And he said, yeah, what's it called? And I said, it's called Bottom. And he said, does it have to be called Bottom? And I said, I think it probably does have to be. And he said, I'd really rather it wasn't.
Because we wanted to call it Your Bottom, or, you know, or My Bottom. It was whichever. And because we wanted people to say, you know, on the bus stop the next day, did you see My Bottom on television last night? Very, very simple joke. You wouldn't believe who they had in My Bottom yesterday.
So I said, well, let me talk to him. So I went back to Rik, actually, and he said, no, the very fact he's asked that question means we won't do it unless it's called Bottom.
And Bottom actually was a more suitable title, because it's about two people at the bottom.
It's not about bottoms, it's about the bottom of the pile. That was, of course, slightly belied by the fact that when the episode titles came out, the first one was Bottom Smells, followed by Bottom Hole, Bottoms Up, Bottoms Out, Bottom Finger, Bottom Gas. I mean, you know, it's quite obvious what the joke was. So anyway, I went back to Alan and said, no, it's got to be Bottom. And he said, OK.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ade Edmondson and Rik Mayall.
With an uncompromised title and an uncompromised script, would the public take to the show? In June 1990, a pilot was filmed before a live studio audience.
When we used to do a traditional sitcom in front of the studio audience, you'd have a warm-up person, and he would introduce the actors, and they would come out, and we'd all be lovable and nice and hello and popular and everything. And then when Rik and Ada are introduced to the studio audience, this is very different.
Why did the pervert cross the road? Because he couldn't get his knob out of the chicken. Thank you. Eddie?
That's right, it was me.
The BBC was nervous because it was being pushed even further than it was in the young ones.
I'd just like to say, fucking bollocks. Because these are words we're not allowed to use during the show, and so I'd just like to get them out of the way now, then we can get the show out of the way and start talking like real people again. Thanks a fucking lot.
Cool, look at this. We're in Bottomland. Do you want me to smash the telly up later on? Just that. Paul got the show off the road in terms of it being commissioned, and then he asked me to direct and produce it. Obviously there were doubts at the BBC about a show like this, or even though the young ones have been very successful, there's always, doubts.
Well, the main setup is that my character's called Richard, and Abe's character's called Eddie Hitler. And this is our flat. We're both single.
The whole reaction on the night is sometimes can determine your entire attitude to the show. I know you shouldn't really rely on an audience like that, but that's your feedback.
It'll take a couple of seconds and then we'll be ready. Thanks very much for coming, and do laugh a lot, otherwise I'll come round and shag you all.
I think on that first one, they thought we've got to write a proper script. We can't write Richie hits Eddie and falls out the window, and we've got to have something slightly more substantial. And so I think they purposely set out to have a plot, the Miss World contest and the argument about watching the Miss World contest.
ITV, that's the channel for me. Nothing to worry about and plenty of sills.
Really? And what particularly edifying programme have the Lights channel prepared for us this evening that I'm not going to let us watch?
It's Miss World, actually.
How disgusting.
And they knew a lot about television. They understood how sitcoms work.
Right, that's it. Get out of my house.
Beg your pardon?
You heard.
No, I didn't.
Well, I'm not saying something like that twice, young man.
Well, can't do anything about it then, can I?
The feedback was fantastic. I remember it went really well. And then you kind of go, phew.
So then we had to write 5 more episodes. We were petrified that it wasn't going to be funny. But it's not funny! Like the Emperor's New Clothes, That was our constant fear.
Oh, God! What are we going to do?
Calm down!
I am calm!
The young ones may have ripped up the sitcom rulebook in the early 80s, but by the end of the decade, normality had resumed with schedules full of safe, likeable characters living in cosy middle-class houses.
What time do you call this?
You watch the conventional sitcom in a kind of fog of reaffirmation of your own views, whereas when you watch something like Bottom, it's tremendously challenging.
Oh, what a lovely day. God, I love Sundays.
That you're constantly jolted out of your kind of complacency.
Morning, Vicar. Lovely day. Charming.
To be popular, but nevertheless to do something which is really interesting is almost impossible in a sitcom.
And the same to you with brass knobs on, you steaming great twat.
We acquired an office space, and it was right next door to a pub. What could be better? Living in a pub. And
Right then, where are we? Here we are.
yeah, we used to turn up at 10, and the way we used to write was we used to talk about the world. It's one of the most delightful things about being in a double-act writing team, is you just kind of talk about stuff.
All right, Dickens, get on with it.
Observing people in the supermarket or someone on the bus or what the kids are doing at school, you know, mundane things. And then after 45 minutes...
That is absolutely brilliant.
One of us would say, well, what about if they... And you'd be in.
That's good. No, that's good. No, that is good.
Stoat.
Foxy Stoat? Yeah. Yeah, it's got a ring to it. Foxy Stoat seeks pig. Foxy Stoat seeks pig. Shut up, Eddie.
We would properly write till 1, then go for lunch, and that was the end of the day, really.
2 halves of mild, please.
In pint glasses.
And it was a delightful period.
This bloke goes into the bank and says to the girl, stick 'em up. She says, righty ho, matey boy, and sellotapes his bollocks to the ceiling.
We just used to laugh. I remember just laughing a lot. It's when we heard the jokes first time round.
Fantastic! 4 hours and 17 minutes to get in next door and remove the illegal gas...
That's what makes the plan so flawless. And I don't know my next line.
And it was just a delight. You used to love going in. It was like going out to have fun.
Right? When?
Will the BBC wake up and realise that his fish fingers
was
don't
done.
go away right? You know I don't like anyone to make it a fun. Leave that in.
That was the line, wasn't it?
That's what we wrote.
In that time, we'd learned how to put the emphasis on character, not on plot. This is where we'd always gone wrong before. We thought you have to do is, what's the next thing you do? And it's not. It's how do you explain what they think all the time?
For inspiration, Rik and Ade drew upon the play that first bonded them in their early university days, Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot.
Oh, pardon?
Carry on.
No, after you.
I think that's where they learned that the people at the very bottom of the pile, the people who have got nothing, the people who are just waiting for death to come to them, can still be very funny. And they learnt that from Samuel Beckett.
Your own! Moron!
And of course, famously, they did the show in the West End. They did a run at the Queen's Theatre of Waiting for Godot.
What we most enjoyed about Waiting for Godot was how bleak it was. We find bleak very funny, and despair very funny. That kind of sense of despair permeates the entire series. And I think gives it a kind of proper grounding. And I think that's strangely what people enjoy more than the slapstick.
Why can't we ever bloody win anything?
Oh, don't be stupid, Richie. People like us aren't meant to win things.
Well, what are we meant to do then?
Look, you get born, you keep your head down, and then you die. If you're lucky.
This is one of my favourite lines in it. It's I think that's funny. I think their situation is very funny.
Go on. Top yourself. The telly's busted. Be a good bit of entertainment.
What an achievement to have such a well-loved sitcom which presents such an extraordinarily negative, despairing view of the world.
There's something so desperate about Richie and Eddie, and you know that it's not ever going to get any better for them. If they were two Cambridge students, you wouldn't warm to them. You wouldn't warm to because you go, well, you'll be all right. Your dad will get you a job, you'll be all right.
Tara!
There's a lot of Laurel and Hardy in it, you know, in the fact that you're stuck with two guys who obviously can't operate in the real world and all they've got is each other, but they hate each other.
Happy birthday, dear Richie. Happy birthday to me.
Eddie's looking to camera was just a direct steal from Oliver Hardy, you know. He does a lot of looking at camera, and we stole that. So many people stole from that situation from Laurel and Hardy. So Steptoe and Son stole that. Hancock and Sid James in Hancock's Half Hour stole that.
I've got the law of contract on my side. I have the knobs on my side.
I remember when the first episode went out, we thought, oh, no, we're going to get sued by Galton and Simpson. Because we thought it looked exactly like one of their shows.
Are you gonna put a BBC Two on? No!
No, Eddie, no! This is stupid!
Yes?
They can't break away. Harold cannot pull the cart out of the yard, the famous symbolic image from Steptoe. Either of them couldn't survive without the other. I mean, for Richie, Eddie is his only friend.
Hey, everybody! The birthday boy's here! Hooray! There you are. See? Look how popular you are.
You know, one of the things that's interesting throughout is how the relationship ebbs and flows, really, that one point one is dominant, and then the other one's dominant.
Oh, one more thing. Yeah? Well, seeing as you're here, would you like to kick Eddie in the bollocks?
Don't mind if I do. Thank you very much.
Be my guest.
They're always stabbing each other in the back, and then always kind of coming together.
Come on, let's shake and make up.
Great guy.
There are alter egos. So Richie's the kind of version of Rik, which is the ambitious, looking up to the stars, and vain, but completely useless.
And Abe was just a psychotic, violent madman. But when he was in character, he was a psychotic, violent madman.
I imagine most people think Richie wrote Richie and I wrote Eddie, but I wrote quite a lot of Richie and he wrote quite a lot of Eddie, because we were in love with each other's characters.
Some 15 months since the pilot was shot, Bottom finally hit our screens, and with 6 to choose from, the team went with the most fragrant episode to introduce Richie and Eddie to the world.
What happened there? I just don't understand it. I made all the right moves. I winked. I smiled. It's one of my nice ones as well. I sat down very nicely, leant forward, put on my special eyes and said, "Hello, big tits. Look at his action."
It's a running gag about Rik's virginity, whichever character he's playing. And they play that so well in Smells.
Ugh, what's this? Instant sex appeal. You can get it in a bottle.
Smells actually happens to be my favourite episode because I always wondered what it'd be like for these guys to actually try and meet girls.
Please, I've only got so many ribs, Noel Coward.
It shows their vulnerability a lot in it. It's one of those episodes where they really want something for themselves, and what they want is women, what they want is sex, and they're not gonna get it. I mean, just look at them.
Can I help you, sir? I knew that, I wasn't there to be funny. I was there to be a foil to their comic genius,
This is a sex shop, isn't it?
Yes?
I'll have 5 quid's worth then.
I do remember walking onto set and seeing the sex shop and having no words at all. I really didn't think we'd get away with it because some of the toys were so prominent.
there's a last frame of me laughing, which isn't part of the scene. I think it's me laughing at Rik holding the dildo, but they put it in as me sort of laughing at them at the end.
We are men of science.
It's such a stupid idea, sex spray and all the rest of it. The thing is, the story isn't that important. You're watching them perform.
Whoa! Smells like the drains have gone again.
He's almost assaulting these girls. He's flapping his coat around and sticking their heads under his armpit. But it tells you who he is. He's a complete idiot. He'll never get laid. He's the only one who doesn't know it.
Excuse me.
Is there something wrong?
No. There's everything right. My love.
Is that one mine?
Yeah, that's your bed.
Right. We better get started then.
When Bottom came out, I was like 10 or 11, and it was just incredible. Watching it now, it's almost impossible to believe that it was aimed at adults. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it was like grown-up telly. You'd have to sort of stay up past 9 o'clock to watch it. But, like, who was it aimed at?
Badgers, what flavour?
Flavour?
Yeah. It's banana, strawberry, peanut butter, Marmite, or cheese and onion.
Well, everyone likes cheese and onion, don't they?
Of course they do.
It couldn't have been aimed at grown-ups, but then at the same time, so much of it just goes over children's heads.
Bagsy, me first go with it.
Get two.
Get two? Yeah. Wow, man.
I remember watching this with my dad, you know. I mean, it was just the funniest thing I'd seen. It was ridiculous, and it was obscene. It was... I mean, you'd never get it made now, would you?
Well, I don't think ultra-sensitive is our style, do you?
Just grown-up boys being stupid and naughty, like at the extreme end. And that's what was really popular and fun about it. I felt it was a real Marmite show. You either absolutely loved Bottom or you went, I'm not putting that on.
We absolutely loved the show. It was critically panned, and that always irked us. But we did have an audience, you know, so we won the popular vote.
Plant that big one right on the kisser.
We were number one when we first went out, until it was toppled by my wife's programme.
Oh, what a disaster! That's my whole Sunday ruined.
But then she moved to BBC One and we went to the top again.
Yabba dabba doo!
6.4 million viewers welcomed Rik and Aid's unique smells into their homes. And as Series 1 continued, it fast became a British comedy classic.
Well, who on earth can that be at this time of day?
Hello, I wonder if I could just read your meter.
Hello, Mr. Gasman!
On Saturday and Sunday, they do no work at all. So it was on a Monday morning that the gas man came to call.
Like all classic sitcoms, Bottom needed a title sequence to set the tone of the show. So in June 1991, during production of the first series, the team did the obvious thing and headed to a building site on a roundabout in West London to work it out from there.
Damn it. How lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. So, this is Hammersmith. That there, see that? That is a bench. Yeah. But it's not the bench, is it? No. Yeah. No, it's not. That bench has replaced the bench that was over there. Yeah. Where we shot the site. Nearly everything you can see from here is different from when we shot it. Absolutely. I remember the day being haphazard. Yes, that's right. Mainly because I was in charge. Well, we didn't really know what we were doing. We were looking for things, weren't we? Yes. There was nothing really planned. Well, I planned that window. Did you? Because there was a window. It was quite hard to get up to. We had to get some step ladders to get up. So I had to plan that a bit. Made you stand there for ages and ages and ages.
I thought it'd be funny to see you guys in that window.
Yeah.
And then we take a tight shot.
Yeah.
And then pull out to reveal, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
you're just in the window, and the rest of it's construction.
Yeah.
And then see sort of urban life in the background.
Yeah.
Because I knew by then that we weren't going to come out once we're filming the series. So I thought, set it somewhere. Hammersmith.
Yeah. So,
So, what's a set?
pan-global phenomenon.
Yes.
Not quite true. I don't think they knew he was in China.
No, no.
Rise, look around you.
So you had this idea to come over here, so we wandered over here.
Right.
And you said, we'll do something.
On the bench.
On the bench. So I went, okay, well, I'll set up a camera across the road, over there. And really, you just made it up.
Yeah, I think we made it up. But I think you also kind of polished it by discovering the editing prowess of a bus.
My memory was that the bus came past and Rick just ran with it, and you were left on your own.
I thought it was two buses. So one goes, and then another one came after maybe he did run. Maybe he was clever enough to do that.
I think he was at that time.
Yeah. Do you remember when he was bright?
Yes, I do. Gosh, it was a short window, but God, yes, I remember that.
Yeah. So?
Hello. Hello.
Adrian, hi. I came here especially to see the bench.
Did you?
I always wanted to see
You
the
idiot.
bench.
I thought...
Well, how far have you come to look at it?
Andover.
Bloody hell.
I always wanted to see Rick's bench. But I had no idea.
You know, it's not just his bench. Goodbye. I can only apologise. It's a very sensitive subject. Wait! Don't go to the pub without me!
Stand back, birds, it's the Hammersmith Hardman.
A pint!
2 pints.
Yeah,
That could
yeah,
be better.
sorry, 2 pints.
Cheers.
Cheers, chin chin.
Cheers!
Well, we've done very well to get this far, really.
I think so. I mean, considering how we shot some of that stuff, it's a miracle you're actually alive anyway.
My daughter read my autobiography, and she came to me and she said, I didn't realise you were basically a stuntman. Who did jokes in between the stunts.
Jokes and lines in between stunts?
Yeah.
Bottom was celebrated for its outrageous slapstick violence, captured perfectly here in this fan supercut by Pip Madeley.
I did a study of an episode of Terry and June. They spent as much time as we did.
Right.
Making an episode where nothing happened. Well, from people walking in and out of doors.
Right.
And we would have 300 stunts.
Yeah.
We were basically Roadrunner cartoons with live action people.
Can we talk about the fights? They're so clever. To receive a punch with your head at the right time and a kick in the crotch and for your body to convulse at the right time is a real skill. I mean, they're just amazing stuntmen.
We had no formal stunt or fight training.
One more take.
Yeah, fine.
We were desperate to get people to laugh. It was just a sheer desperation.
How did you hit me in the face with that?
Sorry.
I've got a permanently damaged right shoulder from throwing punches that don't connect.
So it's not even how you'd actually hit someone. You do it in a much more exaggerated way.
Great idea.
What do you do that for?
This occasionally pops out. I can't sleep on one side because of my shoulder, because I was trying to get a laugh in the 90s.
Don't, I'm collecting for the needy. This is for victims of domestic violence.
Not very much.
I loved Bugs Bunny and Wile E. Coyote and Tom and Jerry, and you grow up with all of that. This is that next level where there's blood and broken bones, but by the end of the episode, everyone's back to normal again. Do you know what I mean? No one's going to die. It's just like horrifically, gratuitously violent. Do you know what it is? It's the sound effects. Because they really sell everything. Everything sounds really heavy and sharp and gooey, like with the pencil going through kind of like a layer of kind of like cartilage or gristle. And then like this like squelch. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Right, let's get on, shall we?
It was definitely a challenge because there were so many sound effects to put into it. And also because of the live nature. And they've thrown an extra punch or an extra frying pan hit. I've got to be very ready with my finger on the button. All from BBC sound effect libraries, but I would often blend two together. I might have a punch plus a sort of a squidgy noise for a broom hitting a man sellotaped to the ceiling.
When I was winched up, they had a couple of people on ladders to put the sellotape on the ceiling, so it was quite uncomfortable. And then I got whacked in the ghoulies.
Some of the things weren't from sound effects. I could remember BBC plastic spoons being crunched for some bones, actually.
That's right. Polystyrene cups for tea, and twisting a polystyrene cup in front of the microphone could make sounds of bones or necks or that kind of thing.
There was some discussion about cutting a hole in the set, but then he had to be moved as well at the end of that scene. So we made a skate for him to sit on, and he tucked his leg underneath. Very uncomfortable. The slide down the stairs was really complicated.
Well, don't you worry. He can't get down the steps without us.
We used a stuntman for that. He did the dam stunt on the James Bond film. It was the highest paid stunt that year, I think. But he was pretty scared on that stairs because he kept asking for us to go slower, which we didn't. We made the pliers and all the softs that he was banging his head on, the toilet, the table. We made a lot of soft props like that, loads of frying pans, a couple of pokers. It ended up looking like a shape of his head. And they were quite difficult to make because they really went at each other, these two.
My poker!
As Series 1 continued, we saw Richie and Eddie welcome their first visitor.
Calm. Hello, I wonder if I could just read your meter.
Gas is one of my favourite episodes because it is slapstick comedy at its very best. The performances of Rik and Ed are spot on from start to finish. It's just one of the best half hours of comedy I've ever watched.
Right, I think I'll be on my way then.
No! No!
Wait! What is it? Do you want a cup of tea?
The gas man goes along with their shenanigans in a way that no normal person would,
3 mugs of steaming cold tea. Better drink it before it gets warm.
just love how desperate Richie and Eddie get towards the end of the scene.
I'll just be on my way then. No, you can't go. Why not? Because I love you. What? I love you and I can't live without you. At least not for the next 8 minutes.
It goes on and on and on. You go, it can't build anymore, but then it does. And this is the thing about Bottom, that it just builds and builds and builds and builds.
No, I'm afraid I'm on my way now. You're not going anywhere.
Just when you think Richie and Eddie can't get any worse, they get even more violent.
And now that was supposed to last, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hits and a bash and it was done. But they wouldn't stop. And I think there was a little bit of a competition going on with them, a bit. And so it kept going and kept going. And I was looking at it going, we're never going to finish.
Wake up!
It was a great sequence. That's one of those things where you go, this is perfect. I'm just going to sit back and watch this. They can go on as long as they like. This is hilarious.
You were laughing then.
But it wasn't just Bottom's violence that created equal amounts of joy and consternation.
Tonight's the night. I'm actually gonna...
It was the sexy stuff, too.
See you in a mo. A sex mo.
Don't say it.
Bit of a limp cock you've got there.
You want someone homely?
Oh, you raven-haired temptress from below stairs.
Cooking skills?
Pork?
Who to be with?
Get out, stop your bed. Want to come for a ride with me?
And a wazzle pair of jugs.
Merry bloody Christmas!
I had a fan come up to me once and talk about how sexist it was.
Right.
Which I really don't think it is.
What would you like?
Oh. Sexual favours now, is it?
No.
What do you mean, no? What's wrong with me?
Well, I would have thought that was patently obvious to everyone.
The comedy is in the poking fun at attitudes.
I'm not a homosexual, if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, but you're not strictly heterosexual, are you, Richard?
Judas!
You're challenging the conversation, you're challenging people's thoughts, you're challenging people's ideas, and I think that's what comedy should do, because you're doing it in a light-hearted way.
I've never done it with a bloke.
Yeah, but you've never done it with a bird either, have you?
Rik talks about sex and not having sex and wanting sex, and if only he could have sex. This is his life's work.
Are you a page 3 girl? Because I'm sure if you wanted to, you could be.
Richie is sexually frustrated, a desperate, sex-obsessed virgin. But, you know, he just wants to be loved, really, doesn't he? Despite being a disgraceful, filthy human being.
Have you any idea how women actually feel?
No, I haven't. That's my problem, really.
It's a magic trick. It is a magic trick. Like, it blows my... It's incredibly hard to do, to say half the stuff that comes out of his mouth and not have the audience go, oh, you rotter.
And if I may say so, what a charming blouse you've got on.
His knickers, well, they were something else, the Y fronts. I actually had to have those made especially. So I don't know what some of the dressmakers that were working for thought this was all about.
Richie and Eddie's pitiful attitude towards women came to the fore in the first episode of Series 2, when they hatched a plan to find that special someone.
Now, what sort of woman are you looking for?
Kim Basinger.
I remember being really, really nervous and sitting in the makeup room on the recording night, and Rik coming over to me, and he whispers in my ear and he says, if I say it or do anything really weird or off, don't take any notice. I just get so nervous.
I think that should work. If you want to get off with an insane...
And I was like, oh my God, how generous of him. When I was feeling really nervous, he didn't know that. He was just thinking about putting me at my ease because he gets in such a state about it. And I just thought, well, if he's like that, you know, that's so reassuring.
They were incredibly nice during rehearsals and made sure that everybody was having a good time.
Come on, I want you.
And they were very particular about what to do. I mean, they knew what they wanted, but also it was a really happy ship working with them. So it was just such a pleasure.
Unlike their sex lives, Series 2 continued to satisfy.
Ha ha ha.
Including a Christmas episode that was so unfestive, it was broadcast in October.
Merry Christmas, Santa!
One of the best Christmas episodes of telly ever made.
I'll get on with the brandy butter. Where's the brandy? Well, that's just effing marvellous, isn't it?
Oh, hold your horses, Richie, don't panic, because... Vodka margarine! Contact.
And who better to spend Christmas Day with them than the rest of the Hammersmith Hardmen?
I think Spud, Gun and Hedgehog are my favourite characters in it. What is their life? What, you know, whenever I see them, I think, what is your life outside?
Gosh, it's been... what?
Raining?
No, it's been ages.
What is?
Well, since we last... you know.
We never, with you.
It's just got one of the finest jokes in it. When they've got the baby there and they give out the gifts.
You can have my Christmas present. It's a box of Terry's all gold. We'll have to wait for his little teeth to come through before he can manage the chewy ones.
Oh. Yeah, look. He can have my Frankenstein mask I was going to scare the shit out of Richie with later.
Yeah. And you can have my bottle of aftershave. It's a new one. It's called Grr.
Gold, Frankenstein, and Grr.
I just didn't see any of the signposts along the way to that punchline, and it was fabulous.
And you're all wearing crowns. And I'm a virgin.
One of the things that I did like about it, we never went outdoors. We were always in bottom land. Bottoms out, it's supposed to be an exterior.
Oh, I don't know about you, but after a long hike like that, I'm just about ready to pitch camp and hit the sack.
What do you mean? I can still see the bus stop from here.
Yes, this looks like a good spot, a natural sort of,
shithole.
We thought, we'll not shoot this out in Wimbledon Common. We'll build Wimbledon Common in the studio.
I wonder how much meat you get on a womble.
Eddie, wombles don't exist.
Oh, yes, they do. I've seen them on the telly.
I've always loved that, of sort of, creating the outdoors. I mean, the Wimbledon Common set was fantastic. Had a pond. We were writing for a live audience. I think sitcom has to have a live TV audience.
And you need to laugh at the rest of the show like that, only a lot louder, OK?
Oh, I hate it when people say, no, in our day, it was better in our day. And it wasn't better in our day, it was different. In our day, a joke had to be tested against an audience. And if they didn't laugh, you cut it out.
What was that film where they ate each other?
Deep Throat, wasn't it?
Those studio audiences loved Rik and Aid, and the vibe was like, we're just going to laugh at anything.
It takes it to another level. It's different doing a stunt in front of, 50 crew to then doing it with an audience of 250 people, whether there are cameras there or not, you forget about those because you're performing for the audience, for those laughs.
Thank you. Can I just say, what does a man with a 2-foot cock have for breakfast? Well, this morning I had a boiled egg!
Like, I bet it felt really special, like a select few were there to witness these two at the height of their game.
The atmosphere on Bottom studio recordings was electric, so Rik and Aid decided to take that energy on the road to power a national theatre tour.
I forgot to mention I was actually born in Southampton.
In 1993, after 2 hugely popular TV series, Rik and Aid took their Hammersmith Hovel around the UK, allowing thousands of fans to experience their Bottom live.
There is no better physical humour. I just think they're ace. Absolutely excellent.
But I'm hoping that this is a lot ruder than the TV because they can get away with it.
He said, we'll do it if you build us the exact replica of the set. But it worked. We played the actual theme music, and the curtains went up, and there was the set. And the cheers and the applause went on for about 10 minutes, because people were just so relieved that we were going to do it.
Oh, God, Eddie, you complete bastard!
And do the actual thing. Pretend to be the real people in the real place, but with ruder words.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a no-brainer. Of course you're going to put it on a stage. You just need the two of them, don't you? You just need the two of them and a stained sofa and, you're on your way. That's all you need.
Oh, well, saves money on alarm clocks, I suppose. Hey-ho, another day. Good morning, world. You bastard!
Their relationship with the audience is... You can only compare it to a Bruce Springsteen concert or something like that. It's... The energy in the room is quite extraordinary.
Night after night doing that physical stuff is really an achievement. You really have to be fit.
Morning, Eddie. Scrambled eggs?
Yes, I think I must have twisted my trousers in the fall.
And you have to know what you're doing, really, because it's dangerous.
Oh, pack it in, Eddie, pack it in. We're too old for this. Oh, look at me sweating like I've been masturbating for a month.
Yeah, well, you have, haven't you?
Well, yeah, but it's been a long tour, hasn't it?
On the telly, you play with camera angles to land punches that just go, they look like they're hitting. But on live, everyone's got a view from around here. So you've got to go a bit closer, which is why we occasionally hit each other.
All right. You all right? I actually hit you on the nose then, didn't I?
Yeah. That's okay.
And sort of ended up getting stitched up in the hospital on at least 3 occasions.
I'll see you later.
Righto, take care, Eddie.
They weren't restricted to 30 minutes, and they weren't restricted to television guidelines.
Super fucking glue! Here, look, you two, grab that. Well, Christ, he's coming back!
And I think that the live shows really came into their own because of that.
I've got a bit of a girly superglue to the end of my knob, so be a pal and give it a bit of a yank, would you?
All right.
With the stage shows, with the audiences howling for them, why would they peg back what they're doing?
Following the huge success of their first live tour, the boys went back to the studio after a 2-year break to record Bottom's final 6 episodes. 3 of which just focused on Richie and Eddie.
As much as I like the other stuff that they did with the other guys, for me, it really kind of like made perfect sense when it was just the 2 of them.
And the waltzer's closed as well, hasn't it?
Yes.
I had no idea I'd eaten so much. It went everywhere, didn't it?
You looked like a sprinkler as you went round. It was really actually very attractive. Yeah.
Obviously, Bottom had been off TV for the best part of 3 years.
Yeah.
We'd enjoyed the video of the live show, and they come back with them trapped up a Ferris wheel, and the entire thing, again, it's like a play. It's a 2-hander, and it takes place entirely in real time.
You know, if we ever get through to the other side of this one, I'm going to change the way I live. I get back to Blighty, find myself a piece of land, find myself a beautiful woman. Heck, maybe even raise some kids.
We always liked the one on the Ferris wheel. That is the epitome of 2 characters in a small space, having only each other to bounce off. And that's why it becomes funny.
Why are we talking such complete and utter bollocks?
I don't know, Eddie. I guess
Shut up!
It's just the 2 of them. They're not going anywhere. They're sat in the same place. Every single beat of emotion, every comedy beat. It's an absolute masterclass.
What's in this?
Brandy.
Good.
Meths, Perno, paint stripper, Mr. Sheen, brake fluid, and Drambuie.
Drambuie?
Yeah, all right. You've got to put something in for the birds, haven't you?
Oh, jeez. How are you alive?
I may very well not be.
We had a constant battle with the idea that we were unintellectual. I mean, we'd been to university, you know, we had degrees. And people sort of were constantly saying that we were puerile. I mean, puer is Latin for boy, you see. I'm an intellectual. So it's childish. And people imagine that childish is wrong. And I don't. I think it's pure. Our small rebellion was to, at the end of every script, when we used to write fin, F-I-N, which is the French for the end, as if it was a kind of, you know, nouvelle vague film.
I was there for the fiery flatulence, yes.
Hello? I'm looking for little Dave Hedgehog.
What can I say? They farted and fire came out of their bottoms.
We always recorded those bits. It's one thing to set fire to your own farts in the privacy of your own home, but to do it in front of a television audience with the possibility of them catching fire as well is too dangerous to mention.
Sorry.
Look, I'm Doreen Hedgehog.
It was a long time ago. It was 30 years ago. I can't really remember. I'm just making this up for biscuits and a travel card.
do you, young man? Let's see how much mischief you can get up to without any legs.
Series 3 continued with Richie and Eddie attempting complex surgery,
Oh, bugger! I've shown them on the wrong way around.
forging money,
How can you expect to pass off these pornographic doodles as real money? Especially when you see what the Duke of Edinburgh's up to on the back of a tenner. Who's that with him?
Meryl Streep.
and posing as a honeymoon couple.
Oh, Eddie, Eddie! What? You've got your jugs on the wrong way round. What?
But appropriately, the show ended as it began. Just the two of them in their flat doing what they always did.
Give me 5, Eddie!
Until they discovered a video recording of something truly shocking.
What is that? It's sort of model of a moon rocket, isn't it?
What is she sticking in there for?
I mean, let's just describe her as what it is. It's the two of them audio describing John Major in a three-way sex pegging in a hotel room.
I think they must be sisters.
Yes, that'll be it. No, don't sit there!
She can't have seen him!
But he'll suffocate!
I can't think that that's hygienic.
It's a great end to the series. Whether or not
Yeah.
Rik and Aid knew they might be coming back for a 4th series or not.
Hello, give me the Prime Minister. Because I want to blackmail him. Richard! Oh, shit!
For Carnival to end like that is quite a nice and brave ending for them.
Hello? What kind of sandwiches do you do? Sandwiches! They say they don't do sandwiches. They're a highly trained anti-terrorist organisation.
If you look at the end of most episodes, they appear to have, as it were, reached the cliff edge and be about to fall off it. So almost any episode could be the end of the series.
Go A Squad.
Go A Squad?
Go A Squad! Oh, shit!
Just to go, you know what, we're just going to have them gunned to death.
Yeah.
Like the SAS.
It may be one of the most violent endings.
Absolutely the most violent death.
Although they may not have known it at the time, these were to be Richie and Eddie's final shots on TV. But they lived on in more live shows and a movie before things took a tragic turn.
We got to the end of the 3rd series and we did the 2nd live show, and the BBC never came back. So, they didn't want any more. It never kind of became a BBC One smasheroo.
The BBC's appetite for Bottom may have been sated, but the fans were still hungry for more.
Rich! Yes! Rich!
And their loyalty was rewarded with a trip to Hooligans Island.
They made so many Bottom Live videos.
Go and stand on your special mark.
Every fucking night.
All of my mates had different ones.
It seems to be heading straight to fucking towards me again.
And you'd go around and you'd watch them, and there were 18 certificates. Aren't they rude?
You thorough and total wank biscuit! Yeah, right.
Rik and Aid belonged on stage. didn't
That's where
they?
they started.
Exactly. They absolutely felt comfortable on stage. They wrote Bottom, when you look through the scripts, that they are written like a play.
Oh, Eddie, think what we're missing? Like a script.
We're not really missing a script, are we? It's just that you can't fucking remember it.
But soon after their third sellout tour, their partnership would change forever.
Oh, shit!
Comic actor Rik Mayall is seriously ill in hospital tonight after an accident at his country home. He's in intensive care in Plymouth with serious head injuries after the four-wheel quad motorbike he was riding turned over and trapped him underneath.
Rik changed with the accident, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it was a very, very serious accident. It was touch and go. He was in a coma for many days immediately afterwards. And once he was recovered and came out, he was on very heavy medication for the rest of his life. And I know he told me he after a time he thought, you know, do I really need this? And he tried just, classic Rik, he tried just stopping the medication and he went absolutely apeshit.
Now, you've got to remember that I was assassinated. There was an assassination attempt on me in 1998, as you know, probably by the Blair administration. And that's why sometimes I can't remember things.
He was a different man. More emotional, more complex, catch-all phrase, harder to work with. It wasn't getting better, it was getting worse.
Despite their shifting dynamic, they pushed on with their much-anticipated big screen adaptation, with filming taking place mere months after Rik woke from his 5-day coma.
Guess Paradiso was an odd fish. I think we wanted to make it because touring was quite hard, physically hard, and we thought this might be an easier way of, you know, delivering a 2-hour show.
We were doing a week in each city, like a week in Manchester, a week in Glasgow, a week in Nottingham, whatever. And so we had nothing to do during the day. And then we sit around the hotel so much, even though they were nice hotels, we thought, God, it'd be funny if Richie and Eddie were running the hotel, wouldn't it?
I trust you both washed.
Actually, the water was cold.
Well, there's no reason not to wash, is it? Good grief, we are British, you know. We invented cold showers to stop people masturbating.
So my introduction to Bottom, the world of Bottom, came through long car journeys on holidays when me and my little brother were probably 12 and 8, and I'm the older one. I only had about 3 or 4 DVDs, and we picked Guest House Paradiso.
Are you sure this is the right place? It doesn't look very nice. It's right next to a nuclear power station, Dad.
This is the cheapest hotel in Britain, so we're just going to have to make the best of it, aren't we?
We watched it on one car journey, and then for pretty much every car journey after that, to the point where we could, like, recite it. I learned most of the vulgar language I'm aware of from that film.
Look, Mr. Twat. It's pronounced thwait. Well, it's spelled twat. T-W-A-T. Twat!
It was just brilliant.
It really had a lot of great moments, especially the physical comedy. The fight in the kitchen is some of their best work in their careers.
And I think for a long, long time, my parents were sat in the front of that car thinking we were watching, you know, Spy Kids or something like that, and just finding it really, really funny. We weren't. We were watching Rik Mayall stuck in a chest of drawers with a dildo.
It's been good. Yeah. All the scenes with Ian have been fantastic.
2 more live shows followed the movie, putting them back where they belonged, in front of a raucous live audience.
By the time we got to the 4th and 5th tours, I was bored. I was bored, and I didn't want to be the person who was remembered just for Eddie.
Eddie, what are you doing? You're throwing your life away.
I'm absolutely proud of it. I love Eddie. But I just didn't want to carry on.
Oh, hold me from earth!
Oh, fuck it, he's acting. Wake me up when he's finished.
But the 5th one was not as good. And when you've reached the top,
yeah,
you shouldn't plough on if you're headed down the wrong side.
I absolutely agree. And
so why haven't you retired?
Come on, Eddie, think of the money. Money? What? Are you getting paid? No.
I'll make no bones about it. We used to earn a shed load of money out of touring. And, you know, I think the reason we did the last 2 tours was because we were both addicted to the money, which isn't a really good reason to do it either.
I don't get paid. It's not me, it's just that wretch of an actor who plays me. You know, come on, what's his name? Come on, you must know him. That tosser that fell off the quad bike.
They weren't as much fun. And I wanted to be an actor, and he was getting more complicated. And it had come to a natural end. It was one of the great sadnesses of life is that Rik never kind of could take that on board.
I am here. Richie is here. Back where he belongs, in the toilet.
I used to meet him sort of regularly just to be chums and go out for lunch. And his mind was already kind of getting forgetful by this point. And every time we met, he'd think we were having a meeting to talk about doing another show. And it was very hard. Eventually, I came up with this idea, and I said, let's write something, and we'll take it to the BBC. And my thinking was, they're a couple of old gits, they're not going to want it, you know. So we dashed something off. It was the mythical 4th series of Bottom. And they bloody well wanted it. I thought it was going to put an end to the argument, but they wanted it. But and I hate to tell people this, it just wasn't good. So I just turned it down again. It's so... He hated me for it. Absolutely loathed me for it.
Look at you. What's happening? We used to be friends. Good friends.
What do you remember of the fateful attempt to write something in the 2012 or whatever it was?
Basically, Hooligans Island, I did, from what I understand. Yeah. And that there's a typhoon of some kind.
Yeah.
And so everything's going sideways. So the coconuts and everything come flying past them.
God, now you're saying that. That rings some bells.
And because Rik had an accident, and so he wasn't...
So he couldn't drop anything on his head?
No.
I mean, talk about sport.
Yeah, so we cancelled the show.
There were some other good bits. There was an idea about democracy, because there's only 2 people on the island. And Rik had been in de facto leader. And as part of his leadership campaign, he emptied all the bottles of hooch that were on the island. And Eddie became sober. And we discovered that when he was sober, Eddie was a very cogent and intelligent human being. He'd been to Eton, not as a student, but when he used to nick stuff, from Eton, running through the classrooms. He couldn't help but take things off the blackboard, and they all went in his brain. And his campaign was so good that Richie voted for it, and he became leader. It was sort of all right. It was tortuous, you know. It didn't really work. It was bottom-ish, and bottom-ish isn't enough. Yeah, the last thing we ever did was Let's Dance with Comic Relief, where I was being the dying swan, and he came on, and his job was to tell me to stop and hit me with a frying pan. And true to form, he really whacked me with it, really quite badly. And I got through to another round, and he came and he cut the rope, and the ton weight fell on top of me. I think that was the last bit we ever did.
Rik died on the 9th of June 2014 of a heart attack, aged 56.
I was sort of in the middle of the garden, and there's a very little phone signal in Devon. And my friend Nick rang and said, "I'm so sorry." And I said, "What about?" He said, "Oh, God, you haven't heard, have you?" And I hadn't, because, you know, my phone, and I was in the middle of Devon, and yeah, it was a remarkable shock. I mean, absolutely remarkable. There was no hint of that going to happen.
No, come on, this is a funeral. Funeral, what's the mood? Sad. That's clever. Sad face. Oh!
Speaking to Rosie, his daughter, at the funeral, and her take on his death was that actually I had 16 more years of him than I should have had, because he could have died that day as well, which I thought was so typical of her, being very positive and you know, seeing the positive side of things.
Even now, find it hard to believe, actually. I mean, he was so vibrant, he was a force of nature. And, you know, the fact that he's not here is hard, really.
So I might as well call the whole bloody thing off. Now, you listen to me, Buster. You're just a door. I'm Rik fucking Mayall.
It's very weird being in a world without him. Very weird thinking that he, you know, didn't know anything about Brexit, didn't know about COVID. You know, I mean, our relationship was strained towards the end. And when I do things like this, and I remember the absolute joy of sitting in that little office in Richmond, opposite the hole-in-the-wall pub, it was absolute, you know, the distilled joy, the most joy I've ever had in my life, I think. Making each other laugh. Properly laugh. Big guffawing belly laughs, you know, proper, can't stop laughing laughs. Very rarely you get a relationship like that with someone.
Well, I have to say he's my best friend. Otherwise he'd kick my teeth in.
You know, I mentioned the way we used to write each other's characters, and we're in love with each other's characters. I miss that love. Yeah. I miss that other opinion of me.
very loving opinion.
What would Rik have made of us doing this documentary, this celebration of a show 30 years after the initial production of it?
Rik would have hated a programme like this and would have told you to fuck off. I mean that quite sincerely.
Oh, safe and sound at last. I never thought we'd get away with it.
It's always a good way to finish in a moment of, you bastard.
Failing poorly again, are you?
No, you are.
Poof, the end.
What'd that do?
Afraid not, boys.
It's just trying to find that moment where you normally freeze frame and then run the music.
Cannibal Taffy O'Jones!
I'm going to show that back to you. Just one or two things you have to slightly careful. We can run it back again. What else will I do again?
I remember the end credits very well, because it was one of the most knackering things we ever did.
You okay, Nick?
I think we did it 5 times.
Stand by, please. We are running. Opening positions.
Can't get that far back.
It's incredibly physical. It probably doesn't look it, but, you know, we enjoyed a drink and didn't do much exercise. we were a couple of has-beens and we were, you know, knackered.
Will you give it a stab? Yeah.
Right.
Try it again.
Because we did the end credits before we did anything else. And I remember thinking, who are these guys? What have I been put on? What is this show? And I think it was before I'd seen a script or anything. And they're just, you know, doing all this against the background. And I just thought, I don't know what this is. I don't know what it's going to be like.
It was quite revolutionary in those days. We thought that we would shoot them silhouette, and then when we were running the credits over the silhouetted figures, I said, would you be able to make the letters white when it's going over the black, and can they be black when it's going over the white? So we started kicking the machines down in the basement of BBC and managed to get it to do it. And it was great. I went, yeah, mate, we've not seen anything like this before. And we've got these 2 lunatics fighting in the background. And we've got the bum notes music. I said, this is it. These are great closing titles.
What? Okay, no, I'm fucked.
I wasn't talking about your career, love.
Over 3 decades on from our introduction to these unreconstructed...
It's not your fault that you're lesbians. Look, please, give me one more chance. Come back to my place, and I'll cure you.
Unhygienic...
That's not cress, that's like yogurt you started during the Gulf War.
Might as well finish it.
Environmentally unfriendly...
I thought I'd burn it off.
What, your face?
Now the excess gas.
Really? And how long do you think it'll take to burn off the entire North Sea gas reserves?
Underachievers...
Absolutely nothing to do for 24 hours.
That's a bit like every other day then, really, isn't it?
Richie and Eddie still remain one of British comedy's greatest double acts.
We're still talking about Bottom 30 years on because I don't think anything else has replaced it, because times have changed and we can't roll our sleeves up and get so filthy and dirty and violent and immoral. We can't go there. So there's a part of us that gets a vicarious pleasure from seeing them do it so well.
I think one of the enduring things of it is that they're doing anything that they want, you know.
This is the life, Eddie. This is just like Thelma and Louise, isn't it?
The freedom that they gave themselves, and they do it so quickly. The pace is amazing.
How are you feeling, by the way?
I think if you hated them, it would have never have worked.
I'll help you, shall I? It'll be more erotic.
bras work? I've never seen one before.
I think that they caught that sympathy while being completely repugnant and funny at the same time. I mean, it's a major achievement, what they managed to do.
Look out, parting shot, get down!
What? Duck! Where? Eddie, they got me with a blow dart.
The thing that some comedians forget, that Rik and Aid never forgot, is that what makes a comedy show, it's the audience laughing as much and as often as possible.
Right on the end of the knob.
And they never let anybody down with that.
Oh, that was a bloody good shot. Considering the size of the target.
They put being funny above everything else.
Hello. My name's James Bond. Not a lot of people know that.
Above, realism, above continuity. It just wanted to be funny. And that's just timeless, really, isn't it?
So it's agreed then. I'm the winner.
Their relationship, both on and off screen, made Bottom as funny as it was.
I can't find my fucking balaclava, Ed.
I just think they had a very special bond with each other, and that definitely came across when you watched it.
That's what I love about you, Richie. What? You're completely insane.
When you watch Rik and Aid playing them, they are just two mates dicking about, having the time of their lives. It just looks fun. You want to be on set.
Right.
Well, it's dangerous under there.
Only from the swinging tackle.
They're never learning lessons. They're constantly just putting themselves in dangerous scenarios for our pleasure.
What on earth are you eating?
Lard.
They couldn't find anything that looked like lard. So it was lard.
You are eating lard.
Yeah, I'm hungry, but I'm too drunk to cook.
It was a joke. What are you going to do? Not do it?
Wow. No, Eddie, don't get off the sofa.
That show is just, it was like nothing before, and it's like nothing since. And I can't imagine anything like it ever being made again. So thank goodness we have it.
What are we doing?
It's called television.
Where do you think Richie and Eddie would be today?
I think it'd be quite good if Richie and Eddie actually did Waiting for Godot. If the characters did Waiting for Godot. Because that's the essence of what they are. And that could be quite funny. Oh, that's a shame.
We just have to wait for a technical clear. All right. Oh, we are technically clear. We are technically clear.
Oh, thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Ed, it's been a pleasure talking to you about it.
You too.
Cheers. Yes, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We couldn't have done it without you, and I know it's been a very long evening, but you've been fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Good night.
Bottoms up.